Really can't tell if that's quiet enough. I do like the music. Just about ready to start. All right. Still seems like it's a little bit loud, eh? I need to test it against something else. Oop. Go, just a random whatever the hell this is.
Our first guest tonight hosts the Emmy and Peabody award-winning show
Huh.
Last Week Tonight, which airs Sunday nights on HBO and streams on HBO Max. Please welcome back to the show our good friend John Oliver, everybody.
How is that? Sound the same. Guess they turn it down a bit more. I don't know. That seems real quiet, man. Guess it's fine. I'm just going to turn up my headphones instead. All right. Hopefully this isn't too loud. Hello, kitty. Still seems kind of loud, but whatever. Yeah, this is about going and exploring. Now, I just got into the game. I still have the Hero of the Village going. Yay. Oh, I do need some nether. I need some netherite. Okay. First things first. Don't mind this mess. The center part isn't done yet. I've been working out like a design for kind of a system that's going to let me basically put items into the system and send them to various places, not just the massive item sorter that should not have been done like this, honestly. Whatever. Didn't know about the rendering thing until afterwards. Okay. This is stuff to sort later. I think this is, well, yeah, a lot of random stuff. Yeah, not dealing with that right now. Cool. I got some random shit. I'm just gonna put it into the system. It goes, and yeah. My bag. Well, that's stuff for around here. It's taking up a little bit of my bundle. Maybe I'll get rid of it. Put it. Maybe I do. I'll just remember beside the sticks. There we go. Okay, that's good. Let's get my loadout back. I'm not going to need this the whole time. I will need it sometime. This way? I'm going to need some scaffolding and some food. We're looking good so far, though. Yeah, the shield on right yet. Okay. So, where's all my stuff? Oh yeah, I forgot I enchanted. Yeah. Oh yeah, I have a Elytra, so I could go flying about if I wanted. I don't know if I'm into a particular biome I'm looking for. I was hoping to just kind of explore maybe underground because I need some ores, but seeing the Elytra makes me want to go just try to find a biome that is not around here. That'd be fun. Cool. Alright. Let's do that for now. That's fine. That's all fine. Okay. Really do need more rockets though, so I can't go too far. I can go 11 rockets out. 11 rockets back. I really need to save the other ones. It's an emergency. Fly. Oh, maybe I should go by horse. Horse would take too long, maybe. I should definitely bring some obsidian, or at least have some in here, so that if I need to make a portal, I can. How's my obsidian? Here. Quartz. Glowstone. Oh. Actually, I think I would maybe a different spot. No. Uh-oh. Okay, it's gotta be up here then. Oh. Dirt. Gravel. Are you kidding me? Okay, could be over here, but we're getting into less likely. I thought I had a better spot for obsidian. There is a method to my mat. Oops, ignore that. Saying it. Okay. Okay. Ah, obsidian. Oh, it stands out like the rest. Maybe it was to help me find it, and it definitely didn't work. 49 of that. I got plenty. Just keep a stack. Always have a stack in the chest. Cool. Sure, I have a lighter on me. Okay. Cool. Now I can make a portal anywhere. If I do go to L. I should have some glass. Just in case. I'm trying to think ahead here because once you leave, right? Pain in the ass to come back. Alright. So I need glass. Glass is glass. Red glass. Ooh. Oof. I need to make some red glass. So, I need to remember where glass is in the system. I'm sure I'm smart and I put it somewhere close. Where's obsidian? It was here. Oh no. Food. Oh, well, I needed food. Yeah. Yeah, that's... Aha, glass. Perfect. Yes, please. I need 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just do that. I need some dye, which, you know what? I have an iron farm that is totally backed up, and I can just take some flowers from that. This is still just chaos down here. I haven't built this far down too much. Underside of my my base, and made a dirty little farm here, which seems to go no matter what. Even if I don't have it popping up and down, it still just goes and goes. Oh, that is pretty bad. I have special zombies on. That's what that is. You can have it. It's this is not the thing I'm looking for. I'm looking for sounds. Mob. That's better, I think. What is this? A hello name tag. That's funny. Yeah, it's a mod that it just makes a lot of random zombies, so it makes it feel almost like a post-apocalypse out there. Without changing anything else. Oh, yeah, I was here for a reason. Okay, I gotta be really careful what I do here to not let bones spawn. No? Oh, yeah. Okay, so is that... Nope. Here. Make me some... Uh-oh. Wait. Oh, wait. I need to make dive. Yep. Frame rate might be tanking a little. Okay. Oh, that's right. I forgot that's the recipe. Oh, that's so easy. Okay, well then I got plenty of dye. Don't need any more. Let's throw this in there. Funny. Guess since I'm here, toss that back into the system. Do I have any more? Oh man, yeah, this is really jammed up, I bet. Go. Start draining either side. Carrying any more? One more stack. Boom. Done. Easy. Yes, I know I could put it into block form, but what's the fun in that? I have a whole sorting system for both, so I might as well. Alright. Need proper actually, these have been marked out. This outer ring is to say that this whole thing is getting wider on all of them to match like this. Like I've done with water tower. It makes it thicker, a lot cooler. All four of them, you'll be able to navigate through the base in different ways. But yeah. Now I wanted maybe grab some glass. I have so much dye. I thought there was a way to like no. Maybe there was a way you could like get them all to move from one chest to the other, but I don't know how that works. Okay, that should do. Okay. I'm a little jammed up here. So let's throw that back in the system. Then carry there. Not those yet. I gotta turn them into dye, or else the system will just spit them into the junk pile. So. And then the rest of this. Cool. Oh. Oh. Okay. Cool. I have a red glass box. I have one named red glass. Oh my goodness. Damn it. Okay, is there right click, double click, middle click, left click, don't grab a stack. Do it like that, I guess. I remembered that I had a box for this because I do this often. Oh. Alright, cool. Back in. It's already labeled on the top line. Cool. Those have things in them. These are all empty. Boop. Yeah. Feel good about that. I think I'm gonna need my fortune. So maybe the plan is to just go out and just explore, find a biome. If I like the biome, get some stuff from it, then go underground, see what's underground there, and then maybe surface or underground put a portal, try to find my way back through the nether back to here. Not a bad plan. I think I'm gonna want that TNT that I have. A lot. Put it with my chicken. Dynamite. I don't think I'm gonna need that. I have plenty of shears. I have water. I have lava in my other thing. Okay. Might be overthinking this. I have a boat. I don't need rail. Oh, wait. Oh, I do need rail. Coming back through the nether, I'm going to need to make sure I have my rail kit. Oh my goodness. More. Okay. Well, I have some stuff I can grab. Let's grab a box. That box. No way. Let's get. Oh, what kind of dye do I want for that? regular gray. Hopefully it's distinct enough from the. Oops. Whoa. Here. Uh-huh. Yeah. Or gunpowder. I'll have to go with this. That's fine. Alright. Cool. Oh yeah. These are holding up. Okay. So I'm gonna need. I need powered rail. What? Oh, I have to be at a table. Check it's golden redstone, I believe. Gold redstone stick. Gotcha. That fun is that's going down and through a pipe over that way up into the system, and then it's rejoining this part of the system, which goes all the way around and down, all the way around, down, and then back up through here and into the catch-all. Fun if it wasn't so laggy over here. This game's gonna run so much better as soon as I'm out of this area. What did I get this for? Oh shoot, there's a reason why I opened this. Oh, that's right. Gold. Oh, I don't have gold. Oh. Gold's up here. Oh, gold. Blocks. I mean, that's plenty, right? That should be plenty. Cool. And then... You know what I should do? Since I'd like to get down by jumping like that, I should put, just like I have the carpets here hiding light, I should put part of the carpet design or something, maybe running along here, have like parts that are slime underneath the carpet, because then I can hit it. Oh, that'd be fun. Slows me down. If it's thin, I could do a whole line of it. Probably want to line it up with the doorways too. Yeah. I'd have to move the whole line over, but yeah. I think I got an idea for that. All right, that's future plan. What the hell was I doing? Oh yeah. Check. Okay. How many can we make? Be enough. Oh, that'll get us. One more of those. Wait, I think I always have a minecart on me, but we'll take a couple for this chest. Really, I should make it all this stuff, but maybe I don't want to overload it. Yeah. That should be good for now. I still need to add some redstone torches, which I can make right here. Okay, yeah. That's a rail system. Between that and the other one, got everything we need to go. Okay. Oh. That. Get out of here. Swimming pool. With all my friends. Yeah, I haven't set my beacon to anything since I moved it. There for chill. Oh yeah, I got livestock to still deal with. Oh shoot, nighttime. Sleeping with a chicken in my hand. I gotta do some decorating with these soon. And I also need to make my poster shop. Put all this stuff in because I don't like it having in this corner of my mansion. All right. Oh shoot! I don't have any maps. I'm not interested in making them now. So yeah, there's Dave's place. There's Al's place. Hank's abode. This does not look like this anymore. I should definitely update it. That would be fun. More than one actually. That one. And if I'm out and about, maybe. Oh, can't. There we go. Yeah. Maybe his place. I think his place must have changed. Okay. Now I know that it's mangroves south of there, and that's just bad news. I know that Hank's gone a little ways this way. I might kind of. Oops. No, you can do that. I might, after going and getting this, head out this way, and I guess kind of go north, and go south. We'll see. But yeah, that's the feeling I got. Oh, there's my skeleton farm. Oh, this doesn't show the new farm either. Tree farm. This is going to look different. Yeah. Better. We'll see the workings of the tree farm that way. Cute. Okay, I got other ones to explore with, and this one up. Which one is really close? Village. Let's take this lots handy here. That's one. That's not the other. Nope. And aha. Wait. I remember 11 rockets. See if I can make this work. How far can I get on that? Good. I will actually walk the rest of the way so I can save my rockets. Not bad. Oh, look at that. Right at the threshold. Dating with the wall they've made. Not bad. Oh, I hadn't seen the tree. I see you can take a screen. Oh, we can post. Oh. Cool, that looks kind of neat on the map there too. All right, switch to what? Oh, he went around the lake. I see. But really, keeping them in this way. That frame rate be awesome over here compared to my place. Jeez. How am I not on this map yet? Let's go. Oh, y'all. Oh, hey, what do you trade? Garbage. I see. Chelsea, so happy. And you've been traded with, and you've got crap on you. Okay. Need to. Oh, I could totally hook these up with some suits. I got some chainmail. I can donate for that. That'd be fun. Cool house. A little bit modern. What the heck's going on with this lodge? Okay. Maybe a little unfinished. Oh, wait. Yeah. Librarian. Hey, what? Why is there... Okay. I can do that. We got protection 3. Good to know. Where's that? Yeah. I get to that. Wow. Is this the big tree? Cool. I'm gonna go check that out after. Oh, there's a thing on the inside. Everything. That looks so cool. How do I get in? There's secret entrance. I don't want to hack it open. Wait. Are those buttons? That one. Oh, I really wanted that to be something. Okay. Check. Oh. Nope. Oh. Nope. Oh, okay. Is golems down here? Golems. Huh. It looks like a tunnel. It's just under the house? Okay. Quick look over here. Back. Ooh, that's not gonna touch it. Oh. What's this? Nothing? Wait. Am I seeing more here than there is just because there's a ladder down here? Damn it. Oh. Is anything I figured light this up if it was meant to be a path. I want the Baker Tree to tell me its secrets. Why is there a ladder there? Throw me off? Oh. That's certainly a way to come up. Where's the way down? Also, what's going on with your fences, man? Huh. Can't fight the current. Anything? Yeah, probably. Oh, he's got his own stable. The horse. Oh, it is. Oh yeah, and his fancy portcullis. I think this is up. Nope. I should. Nice. Little house design here, bud. Oh wait, no, this is an original. Oh. Huh. Maybe that's why the leak was dug up slightly. Out of my way. I own this town. Nope. Nope. I'm sleeping in your bed tonight. Okay. See if I can figure this out. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Ah. Uh-huh. Okay. A little exposed on this side. Okay, this one then. Cool. Shrubbery. Yeah, so that was fine. That one's coming up. That one's coming up. Just leaving this one. See it again. Okay. Huh. Where that line is? Side of town? Like a dirt path. There. This iron farm. Okay. Oh, it is road. Interesting. It was meant to be there. Alright. This one that we're going to. It was like a watchtower. I made it in the right direction. Oh, yeah. Here's the path. How's his doing? What? I guess I'm just near mine too often. Well, mine's always running. I like what he did with these lamppost features. They look nice. He's taking lighting this up seriously. Oh, there's some stairs. An ankle on these on these sharp hills. No. Cool. Am I on the map here? Nice. All right. Oh yeah. Oh. Facing the wrong way, but I like it. I mean, he could face it whatever way he wants. It's a display for him, I'm sure. But he did tell me it was meant to show them what for. Farm. Doing here. It looks like that must be updating. I can't hard to tell. Oh, what the hell is this? Is this your tree farm, bud? Interesting. Each their own on the, what the heck? Those just filters? Yeah, this was filters. What? Don't understand. Operates on a different wavelength. Maybe if I had seen the tutorial, it would make sense to me. But yeah, I look at that and I go, I don't know what's it doing. This is a massive tree. Oh. Yeah, it has been a while since I've been over here. Okay. Bouncy cows. Bouncy balls. He has a large amount of bouncy balls. Is this an auto farm? Dispenses water. And what, is there like a hose dispenser on the bottom? No? This looks like this is a work in progress. Just a lot of surprise. That's all you're gonna. What you getting from me? A lot of surprise. Going what? Huh? Huh? This dude. Oh. It's not an auto farm. That's for sure. I don't think it made it to the hoppers either. Okay, I'm just gonna fix this real quick. That wasn't me. That wasn't me. Why is it dry? Can't be dry. He's got water right there. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 in each direction. Dry center. Okay. I could really confuse him and plant some other stuff here. Do you have anything on me? Oh. I could be a friend and actually finish the like this because it's parched? Yeah. Get some water in there, bud. Why is this one wet? That, like, kind of makes sense. Kind of makes sense. 1, 2, 3, 4 in the diagonal. Yeah. Oh. Okay, whatever. Not gonna. Oh, it's in a bit of a wall, and it's raining. Oh. Hope that went somewhere. Okay. Oh, and I got all this weed. Yeah, let me put it in the system. Wherever this goes. Off to the races. Sure. Close it after me. this is pretty. A little hard to look at. This part here. If he was doing a pattern or. Huh. Ooh, is this the Railmaker? The Railmaker? What does this do? Oh yeah. Cheaty, but I like it. That just makes that easy. Did I look at both my maps here? Yes, I did. Away. They don't stack, but do they? Yeah, they only count as one. Awesome. Hey, that's really cool. Means you could have a bundle of 64 separate maps. They all be unique. That's pretty neat. Cool. Oh, okay, yeah, that's plenty. That's plenty. Okay, stop the machine. Stop the machine. Go where I asked. Oh my god. Where's this coming from? Jeez. Is that it? Yeah. Wow. Now I'm spoiled for powered rail. The drowned gargling under my feet. I like that. I gotta remember to do that. Put a pipe going sideways instead of down to put a. That's Snooper and Dave's base. This is always running. What is this? Going into blast furnaces? These ones. Huh. Huh. That's weird. Looking at all the different sounds going on right now. There must be an animal on some amethyst too. What is on here? The item thing? Okay. Wait, why is this a stick? Yeah. Oh, it was reversed. Okay. I'll leave it the way I found it. Probably not. Huh. Okay, so I'm on the inside of his item? Yeah, there we go. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. This is a good way to do it. I was thinking of doing it this way. Having the blocks be visible. Lights do that. I don't know if I can do that on the second. Well, I guess I could. It won't show up for certain things. Couldn't do this with Well, I guess you couldn't do it with this with glass, but maybe with a chest. Maybe a chest with glass. Uh-oh. I need, oh no. Next one. Yeah, wipe out audio. Okay. Clean all that. Clean all that. Okay. Go up here. The way out. Oh, okay. Really tight. Okay. Oh, Jesus. Is this a... Ah. I thought it was going to be a safe landing. Okay. Oh. Okay. Where does this go? Oh. Where are we going? Oh, shit. I want to go there. I want to go there. Here. Whee. Okay, that part's fun. Oh, where are we going now? Back. Why they yearn. A lot of animals everything. Definitely scratching there. Oh yes, this is automatic potion brewer. I'm not sure why the colored terracotta on top. Is how you punch in the items. It looks like everything is selected. I don't understand. That powering this. That would be a dragon's breath. You pump it, goes into the line. Oh, okay. I see. Then what's this missing? Oh, no, do I? Yeah. There are things available. I see. Telling me that's what's. Okay, okay. I see how that works now. I think. I don't know if I've seen another design of this. Well, no, I know I've seen another design of it, but I'm trying to remember if the other design I saw, like, had it so that it would only toggle one at a time, like whatever thing you selected, it would just select that and nothing else. But that's not really what this is. This is just a push the button to send it in. This, we have a lot of this one. Oh, he's got plenty of blaze powder. Maybe the one I saw was like you selected the thing, you selected the other thing, and then. No, if you did it in the right order, I guess it would go in the hoppers in that order, and therefore brew in that order. I just thought there might have been one that was like a confirmation process, where you selected the things you want, and then hit a button to send it to brew. But I think I'm. Huh? Interesting design. Let's go up. Crazy spiral to a bed. Sure, I'll spawn here. Why not? That's an interesting look. Huh. With wall and with glass, you can get this thin, kind of narrow window. That's really neat. I have to remember that. Up here. Oh, whatever that is. Okay, I think we're done with all this mess. Let's get going. How far that can take. Hey, why am I losing height? Oh, immediately there's a portal. I must have done that. Insignia all over the place. Put this back on so I know how many I'm using. Okay. I see dark wood here. Yeah, come on. Push it. Push it. Much distance as I can. Oh, we got a swamp. Oh, is that mangrove? Something is tanking the frames looking in that direction. Oh, in that direction too? Okay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Why? Why is it like that? Am I inviting danger? I am. Fast. Off. I think that'll do it. I have to put my render distance down. Oh, what's that? Oh, lava. Huh. Causing enough CPU spike that my music is better. I don't know why I suddenly get quiet. Okay, am I in that biome? Am I in the mangrove? Biome, swamp. I'm in the swamp. Okay. Swamps didn't used to tank my frame rate. Maybe because I'm using the bushier thing? I find frog. Oh, oh no. That's the worst thing to right click right now. Let's get away from this. I'm still facing. Nope. West. Maybe we'll go north a bit. Yeah. I know it spawns around 0, 0. Oh, no, spawn is at 0, 0. So I'm not even that far from spawn. Oop. Oh, how embarrassing. Oh, I want to put the graphics back. Stuff under the water. Heading north, right? Oh. Regular ocean, no boats. I'm surprised I haven't seen any shipwreck. Tiny little island. Portal. If I'm loading new Ooh. Yes, please. Hello there, icy friend. Village? Yeah, an igloo. Fence. Oh, this is a town. Oh, this is a weird town. Oh, shit. Need to be. Oop. Come across any powdered snow yet? Hey, kitty. Hey, how's it going, peeps? What's up? Oh. Wow. Oh, yeah. Cool. Ha ha ha. No pun intended, though. Nice. Yo. I got a place to come for ice and I don't kill myself. Oh my god. Problem with some lava here. There's zombies now? Right up here. What is going on with this place? The house? Yeah, it is. And with a secret? Let's deal with it. Let's make it safer for you guys. Let's go with. Oh, I don't have a. Yeah, need a block. Yep. No. Yes. Boop. Hell yeah. Clear up in a second. Check out the other igloo-y thing that I saw. And there's the ice one. This is just a pack of ice. Nice. Just here inspecting your home. Yeah, everything looks to be in order. This one. What's going on here? Oh yeah, this one. This one. No sponsor. No sponsor. Good, kind-hearted tundra folk. They don't need no. Okay, is this a house? Okay, neat. I'm not going to tear your house down then. Of course, yeah. There's not much else with this place. I should get the coordinates. Go. Save that for later. Nice. Oh, is it going to be nighttime? Okay. Cool, cool, cool. I know what your smell is. But here, have some. You know what? Some grass. You deserve it. Treat yourself. Oop. Don't mind if I do. I claim it by rights of adventurer. Wait, is this place a carpet? This place is carpet? This carpet? Go back the way I found it, at least. Which way are we facing? South? Cool. Well, this is nice. This is a cool biome. Yeah, look at all these nice trees. Oh. Ooh. What? Amazing. Hey, what's this? Is this another village? It is. What's up? Oh no! Wait. Well, that is near me. Oh. I'm sorry, bud. It's not because it was nighttime. That was for a different reason. Huh. Just inspecting your homes. Making sure you don't harbor any enemies at the school. Cozy little church. Huh. Fisherman. Get me out of here. No. Okay. Do this way. Oh. Let's pick up. Rabbit. I'm gonna keep an eye on the durability of my lighter. Yeah, was not expecting to burn through it so fast. Do I not have Nope, I don't have unbreaking on it. Amazing. Right, so I guess. Well, I guess I do want access to these villages. Yes, I could make a portal. I think I'd rather be back by the other one though. That's across the whole thing now. This way. I think I went straight west, so let's go straight east. Oh, not completely. Up and down encounter ravines. Soft snow? No. Loose snow. Powdered snow. Powdered snow. Brain. Let's go. Ooh, wow. That's pretty. Oh, yeah. Flush it down. Oh, I like the look of it. Oh, because it's so much whiter because I have one of those resource packs on that's doing the side. That's just regular grass. Yeah. Nice. Really nice effect to it. Oh, I wonder. Cool. do a shader. See how well this runs. Holy shit. Oh, I think that's the other village. Oh, that was easy. I didn't get turned around, right? Oh, wow, it's so blinding. It's hard to even, like, see the features of the landscape. Cave? We don't abide caves near our friendly village. Crawl out of here, the villagers. I hope. What house is this? That make paper. Paper. Okay. Well, that's right. You need compass. Okay. Wow, this town definitely needs some more to get it be a little functional. I do enjoy that as not quite restoration or renovation project. Trying to make them like be a little bit more coherent. Okay, let's do this on ground. Let's go to the strange looking jut out of the ground. Oh, right here. This is good, nice empty spot. Love it, love it, love it. Yeah, that looks right, doesn't it? Right. Oh no, not even with my thing on. Okay. I thought I could make it of any size, but apparently it has to at least be the minimum size. Not bad. Wow, I should have been running with a shader the whole damn time. That looks right. Hey. There. Oh, I guess I'm going to want a couple of things there. So, put that away. I'm going to want red glass railway as well. As well as needing to wear some gold while I'm in there. Helmet. Oh. Two almost at a light trap. Not okay. Ooh. Nice lighting. Oh, I need some block? That's. I'll get blocks on it. Nice sunset. Just enjoy it for a minute. All right. I don't think you want to go in there, horsey. I don't even know if I do. Oh my goodness. This is a certainly a place to spawn in. Oh my goodness. Okay. I think I would consider this lucky. Yeah. Cool. With the portal. Cool. Okay. Easy. I don't remember my way home. Check some nether coordinates. I have that written anywhere. Your blaze? Blaze is crackling. Be above me too. Yeah, I could take a better look though. Yep. Okay. Ooh. It's fine. It's fine. No more blazes here. We have another spot that we can use for that. I'm not gonna have them just spawning everywhere. Is this go anywhere? Okay. That's that then. Well, I mean, I'm here. I should explore, right? Alright, guess we're going this way. Let's take another left. Ooh, wait. What? Okay. That's a lot going on in that direction. I'm gonna back up so that guy's not shooting me. Send some shots down the way. Ooh, got me. Yes, got me from that far. Oh, still got me. Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh, shit. Shit, more of them. Wow. Wow. Okay. All right. Going this way, I guess. This is terrifying. The shaders make things darker and stuff too. All right. All right. No heads yet. Oh, damn it. Don't accidentally panic throw anything. Do we need anything else? Maybe a block? I need a block. Can't use this in hell. TNT's good. Shield up? Mag cube squishes. Fine. Here. This is great. Nothing in here. Oop. Okay. I need to put down as many torches. Out. That one's fine. That one's fine. This way. Dead end. Oop. Yep. Okay. Okay. Good. Out of here. Huh. We're in. Yeah, we're in the basalt deltas, eh? And what was our chord? I think if we just head towards 0, 0 in here, we'll just come across the network anyway. We want positive X, positive Z. Those two directions, eh? Okay. Okay. I just need a torch to silhouette by one in the middle. Yeah. That's positive. Go this way. Oh, here, I hear footsteps. What is that? Oh boy. Whoa. Okay. This is a dead end. See that. Not gonna go that way yet. You should go that way though. Huh. Okay. Ready? Huh. You, Skelly. Oh, it's Blackstone. There, I was looking at a bunch of netherite. Okay. I'm gonna head this way. I haven't spotted any any signs of our passing. It's gonna be that way somewhere. Like, oh. Oh yeah, no, I want to be this way too. Wait, no. Positive. What the? Fuck fuck was that? The fuck was that? Okay. Okay. Done with that. What are we doing here? I need to go towards positive and positive. I need to go this way, and I need to go a heck of a lot more this way. Oh. She's somewhere up there. I think I need to continue this tunnel a bit. Let's try to get this a little closer to where I need to be. Hopefully. There's going to be a lot of lava pockets. But happy to collect all this anyway. Oh, 182. Oh man, we got a ways to go. Oh. Fuck. Okay. All this guy. Be okay. There we go. Yo. What's that sound? Ah. Ah. Okay. Okay. Let's just keep going then. Oh boy. Oh boy. Alright. Where are we? 150. I'll go till I hit 95 and then try to just do a diagonal? Wait, what elevation am I at? I'm at 67. That's not terrible. That's above. Okay. Where are we at? 121. 67. Oh yes, delicious black stone. Yes, 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 yes. That's about where I need to turn anyway. Gonna do a little bit of a wide berth here. Crack. Oh, crack this light. Okay. That's death. But then we do that. It's not. That's it. Okay. I'm expecting lava any second. Every second. I don't think they spotted me. Going this way. Oh. No one coming for me. There's so many. Wow. Huh. Still don't see anything made by us. Oh. Bad move. Hmm. Oh, wait. That's... Is that one of my portals? Wait a second. The whole time. Okay. What could I guess elevation to be? That looks like it's lower than whatever the hell this was. Maybe I could go down from here? How do I wanna do this? Move further a bit. Head out and then down. I wonder if this is the nether. Oh. Okay. Okay. Let's go out and down at the same time. I'm gonna do a 3 wide. See how this works out. Let's see. I have to estimate how many down I have to go. 9, 3, only a little bit further. One more. Let's call it here. Yeah. Peek. Where are we? Oh. Well. Close-ish. I do need to connect this though. Oh, and then I gotta light a path and go all the way back too. The rail going. Oh my goodness. Wow. I think I should go down quite a few more. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then another 4. So 8 would be about right. I want to poke another hole and take a look. So close. We're almost there. This is definitely... I think I was off by a little bit. Oh, I didn't. I should have counted. One more. And that's gotta be it. So that oh, that's very close to love, huh? Yeah, that works. Maybe one up? Really? Connect with this. Yeah. Yeah. That. Cool. Oh, there we go. Wanted to connect a little clean, like a little bit in a cleaner manner. Words there anymore? Ignoring the sounds. Maze. Blocking them out. Enough of a roof that I'm not gonna have to worry about it. In fact, good. There we go. There. Wallet. There. That feels. Oh, it's the Woodland Mansion. Oh. Okay. Cool. I know this will lead back, and I didn't do a rail the first time here anyway. Let's get that going. So we'll go all the way back. It. We don't have to worry about. There we go. And oh, this doesn't line up properly. That's better. Alright. Cool. Carve this shit out. Put rail down. Resources. Yeah. And I have access to Rusty. I need to go back to my skeleton farm, recharge my elytra, see about making, if I have any gunpowder, about making some rockets. I'm gonna have to make a creeper farm soon. But I do need a bunch of different things, so I might make it like one of them farms that does multiple mobs. Just try to filter for certain ones if I can. Like I think I mostly want creepers and spiders. Just for easy string. Oh, I'm not picking up blocks anymore. Okay. Let's go red for nether. No, I'm already carrying a red one. Let's go purple. Yeah, just everything I'm collecting can go in there. Cool. Fine. Dumped, but can't really do that until I'm near lava again, I guess. And I don't think we're ready for the rail yet, so let's just put this. There we go. I have to, after I complete this line, I think I'm gonna have to find some netherite. Go bit plunge below the lava lake. I haven't decided how I'm gonna do that yet. I do it with sand. I was thinking about this the other day. Or sand or gravel better. But doing the 3x3 sand, like letting it fall down, and then digging down the middle to create a precarious tunnel through a lava lake. Hard underneath. I need my 15 for that. Going okay. I say sure right before getting. This is big enough for one of them big carpet prevents them from spawning. I'm gonna need a hell of a lot of. That's fine. I can figure that out. That or be raised a half a step. I might work with the rail in the middle. I can still have soul sand under one side. Be a little bit cheaper. Make it even out of the soul. It's a bad idea since I'm down here anyway and I have to what about this? I want to make this X. There we go. Oh no. Oh, what if... Oh, there we go. I can feel a little bit better about that. I like these parts of glass. Been like that for... Oh, I don't like... I don't like the way he's looking at me. Okay. Let's, the other glass in. Not bad. Just fill in the gaps like that. Whenever I come across that, I can still take in the scenery. Although they're blazes. Damn it. I'm gonna have to make sure I spawn proof all that area so I'm not dying constantly. Oh, I can use glass to block off a lot of the fortress. All right. Peekaboo. I think they saw me. Peekaboo. Yeah, I think they want some. They want some man flesh. I will offer it up. With a side order of die, motherfucker. Oh shit. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Gotcha. Back off. It's mine. Okay. 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 This is where we're coming from. Don't want to go that way. Oh, yeah, I gotta figure out the rope back too. It's that way? But first. Come on. Oh, there's one right there. Boom. Okay, it's whatever. It works. Suckers. Okay. This might be the right way. Oh shit, I need to eat. Okay, okay. Oh. Doesn't look like it went this way. It went this way. This ain't it. Ain't it? Right? Oh shit. Yeah, no. Okay. I'm a little bit lost. Find my way back to these torches. Whoa. Fuck. That felt like it came out of nowhere. My goodness. Certainly spawn anywhere, eh? Gee. Okay. Still don't know which way to go. Check this one. Yeah, I don't think so. Feel confident about this. Let's do that. Okay. They can all fuck off over on that. We're going this way. And bring them down. One. Oh, that's a blaze. Oh. Took a second to recognize it. Jeez. Okay. Good shoot. Yeah, this is definitely not the way. Probably want to block that one off. Let's do that for now. Because it could end up being something, right? Don't want to go that way. This way. There's the portal. Amazing. I could do less turns if I turn that way, right? Go down, turn once this way. That makes more sense. So then... Okay, got my glass back. Go. Jump this way. Yeah. This is the way we want. They can moan and cry all they want. I'm not gonna get done. Okay, well, I dropped a lot of torches here, but I don't care. I don't need that. So, sweet. Pass all these ones. Boom. Okay. watch your back, please. Okay. You know what? I'll put that fire out. Bothering me. Oop. Amazing. Then here, should probably put a door. Put the door. There's an option to kind of leave at this part. Ooh, do I have anything? Ooh. I think so. I don't even think I have wood on me. Oh well. No door just quite yet. That's fine. But oh. But I don't like this gap being here. I have to move that. No. It's cool. So next. What? Oh, hey, I might actually have something in here. No, just signs. I can use this. This one. Okay. More signs. And wood. Oh, hey, no, that's oh, my poor brain. What did I need? Door. 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 What do I need? Door. Boom. Doors. More doors. I'm just gonna have two left over. Just ah. Yeah, it's more doors than I need. Cool. And then that's what this really need more red glass right now, actually. Oh, I don't have buttons. Hey, buttons. All those doors. Put in. Oop. Want to see other ones? Put doors there too. Sure. Alright. Powered one stuff. Oh. Excellent. Oh, I should go into. Uh, what? What? Can I not make anything? I thought I could make stuff out of it. Okay. Guess I was thinking of something else. Well, what else can I make slabs out of? Because I need slabs. Use blackstone, I suppose. That'll look nice. Yeah, this can go straight into it. Let's go with. I think I like the slab look better. Okay, that'll get us a certain ways. Might have to mine for more. Come on. There we go. I do that. Okay, we'll here. Putting slabs. Just won't put in. Oh. Oh. Okay, not bad. Making it. Oh. Been looking pretty decent. Let's get the rail caught up then. Okay. I mean, arguably, how much rail? I have more powered rail than anything else. I can just use these for the turns and the gaps that I need it to. Be a nice test. Oh, powering them. I'd rather have redstone blocks. Make 3. Okay. Cool. It is what it is. Might be some spawning. The 7th one or the 8th one? This was... Yes. How far do I have to get? Nice. Oh, and of course I didn't bring a cart with me. This is smooth. Measure, rail. Good. Oop. Oh. Cool. How many more of these I got? 13 more. Okay. Okay, so hey, this is going okay. Oh. Up with it. Yeah, we'll just go there. Oops. And the torch is on the same side. A window. Oop. There we go. Cool. I'm digging it. I should have a light. Okay, now. Oh. Oh. Wither skeleton. Where? I don't see it. Okay. Um. What's up? Oh. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh, wrong button. Yeah. You know what? Like go down. All right, that seems like enough. Let's close this up. Okay. All right, time to finish this. Yeah, I guess I did everything else. Left those eight. Amazing. Ah. Oh, I didn't dig this time. Why can't I jump? And connect it up. Just sign up. Oh, it's not done. I didn't do the stairs and the rest of the way. Write it down. Still have plenty. Weird put one there. button really should be red or something. So yeah, that's glowing cut me. What do we call this? Two. Don't I have bone on me? That's at least something. Turn that into white. Arctic biome. Amazing. The other end. No friends along the way. That looks pretty cool with the shader reflecting the rail glow. Oh, I guess I should have mentioned fortress. And then anybody finding themselves on this side. Reminder if anybody just wandering through it. Yeah, I guess. Um, yeah, I should. Oh, yeah, so this is where we should be elevated. Cover. Nobody's. Looking good. Bye. And next test of it. Any denizens? No denizens. It's nice. This is pretty spooky. Kinda wish it took me the whole way. It is pretty close being here. Then, alright, let's find my house. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I know where we are now. My house is much more elevated. This way, yeah. No, I didn't mean to do that. Let's do this. Aha. So these are slabs. Gotcha. I'm going to need brick ones down the middle if I want to put a track in here. There's Dave's message stuff. Don't know how I'd make it go up here. Whatever. This one's fun. Oh god, that's so garish. Don't look at it. Ugh. Oh, we're going to lose frames over here, aren't we? I'm already dropping. Okay. Now we're home. Yeah, let's turn these shutters off. Okay, that's better. This is my stable. Hello, horses. You're gonna need some diamond. Actually, maybe I'm keeping that for one that. Don't tell him. Hey, bud. Almost wish you could decorate them with color. Like the llama blankets. That's what I mean. Okay, we're back home. Let's go unload. Oh, I got some maps. Okay, I have to do that afterwards. I don't have enough hands. Do. So that'll go back into the system. Hang on to that. Then a lot of this. Okay, I'm a little disorganized. This for rail and no, hang on. And we can add, let's say, bones, bone meal. If we can add that. Doors, sure. Hang on to all that. Dump it, it's gone. Odd number of torches, dump it, it's gone. Well, that's going to free up slots. Assault. Yes. Well, I picked up. It was. Okay. Oh. That doesn't need to be there either. Dump that back in. We keep my spicy chicken together. Oh yeah. Always forget about that. Just get my maps for here. Hopefully that's working as intended and I can go up here. Doo-doo-doo. Not much actually changed there. Except for, well, I guess there's the bigger house. There's the Deku tree. Fence that runs around it. Pretty neat. I'm going to need to get more, I need a bigger map room anyway. So I've been trying to figure that one out. That's pretty dope. Okay. I have the wrong helmet on. Armory? Nope. Back up. Take my backup set of everything. Oh, actually, does this have J-Man? It does. It's gonna outfit that set of armor at the armorer's place, but maybe I won't use my good stuff. My good J-Man. But yeah, I guess next step to head over to the skeleton. I do kind of want to unload into the system a bit. That's better. Kind of need that to go faster though. I don't know what would happen if I moved out of the area while this was mid-doing. All those items travel as items. I hear some. Oh wow, digging. I see you, buddy. Some slime hunting. Impromptu. Hi. I missed one shot. Not bad. Why are they spawning down here? That had to do with light levels or something. I thought it was light enough. Yeah, I gotta tear this thing. Oh no, I gotta keep it together because this is the air one I'm gonna do. It's currently not functioning. I think I gutted most of it. Gutted. What's the point of that? Oh yeah, it's coming down here because of the things. Let's see if they came in. Oh yeah. Some things that There must have been too many. It overflowed. Huh. Oh, wow. You hit there. Check on it. It should be mostly empty right now. No. Oh yeah, I need more of that? No, ingots. I have some spare. Where the beacon used to be. That would be alright. Yeah, right here. Amazing. I have terracotta where I don't even need to have it. One piece I need. What? Oh, it was this way. I'm talking less because I'm getting probably. Ooh. It's on. Okay, so while we're here, we want haste. Take haste too. Oh, actually, I don't need that right now. I'm not digging. Let's not do haste too. Super speed. Region. Yeah, that's better. All right. Multiple ways to skeleton farm. One of the old ways. Alright, just gonna chill there for a quick second while queue up some skeletons. I'll be right back. All right. Let's go check out. Oh yeah, there's plenty. My flying cape out. Oh, they both have mending. Good. Okay, what else do I want to charge? Mending. That one. Cool. Let's go. And yeah. Oh, that's a good sign. Yay. Oh. Jesus. A heart attack. Why is this open? Cool. They're also here for a set of armor. Here now. It'd be fun if it was an enchanted. Oh, not enchanted. Not enchanted. Piece of carpet I was missing. I can repair the boots to make them less shitty, I guess. So hard to come by. What the heck? Huh. Not quite enough. Do I even have an anvil out here? More there? Do I have an anvil? Oh wait, no, I know where I need blah 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 right here, of course. Put them here for a reason. So, let's make a box of this. It's all purple. Yeah, not interested in the enchanted. And in fact, before I destroy these all, I should probably get what I need out of them. Don't need any of that, do I? No. No. Bloop. We're just going to drain that out. Right. This carpet. Here, get off of. Ah, you bastard. Aha. That's when the bones drop in. So many bones. Well, I could spend a second converting some. See. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Ah. Okay, that was a little faster. Oops. Oh lordy. No. More. Oops. Keep going until the thing runs out. There we go. This takes. Wow. Cool. Okay, cool. Put a dent in that. Let's drain the chest. little bit of armor for day for later. Cool. Okay. Might be a good spot to end, I think. Probably gonna chill with a podcast and play some. Finish my Final Fantasy X run offline. Yeah. But thanks for chilling with me. Hope you enjoyed. There wasn't much. I got a little tour of the place. Dave's place. That was alright. The only one online on the server at the moment. That's fun. Yeah. Good night, everybody.